One of the most exciting things about the Alumni Network is finding out what everyone has been up to since they worked at PwC. And I'm super excited to be interviewing a bunch of really interesting former colleagues to find out what they've been up to since they left the firm. This is your PwC Alumni Network with me, Andy Woodfield. Today I'm going to be talking to Bobby Seagull. Bobby worked at PwC in Birmingham in London between 2009 and 2013. He was an accountant in the assurance team and qualified as a chartered accountant with us. From a career in professional services to becoming the nation's favourite maths teacher. Bobby's the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Numbers. He's a co-presenter of a podcast, Maths Appeal. He was one of the best contestants on University Challenge. He's an all-round maths genius. He's got some amazing celebrity friends, and we're going to hear all about them. I'm joined today by Bobby Seagull. Hi, Bobby. Pleasure to see you on here. As you know, I'm trying to catch up with lots of really cool, interesting people and find out about life after PwC. And your life is pretty amazing. Can you tell me what you do these days?
Well, hi, Andy. I am a school maths teacher part-time, an author of a few books, and also presenter for the BBC series Montgomery and Seagull's Genius Guides. So between teaching, writing, and presenting is what I sort of do.
Wow, that's a lot. Here, so this has been a bit of a strange year. What sort of challenges have you had?
So first and foremost, as a school teacher, we had lockdown in March, and it meant that for most students, the vast majority, they weren't coming into our schools. They were sort of accessing learning online. But I think the reality is, for some of the most disadvantaged students, it's been a really challenging period because perhaps they've not had access to technology, the right devices. So this year is about catching up for them. But on the flip side, I think it's opened up the idea of using technology to make learning a bit more fun, because we know young people, they love being on their phones and Instagram stories and TikTok. So it's trying to capture some of that zeitgeist and use that for education. So one of the coolest things I found was adapting my teaching from being physical in person to online. And I got approached by Strictly Come Dancing champion Oti Mabuse saying, Bobby, I'm trying to do this OT accent, but I can't. Bobby, I'm doing an online school where we do dancing, singing, baking, cooking, all that, but can you be a teacher? And I'm like, of course. So I did online maths, history, geography, football quizzes, family quizzes for the Strictly family, as it were, during lockdown. And again, it's almost like bringing education, entertainment together to make it really exciting for young people and adults.
So you're trying to make maths cool, right?
Yeah, I think that's the mission, because since my platform on University Challenge, I was on the quiz show as captain of Emmanuel College, Cambridge. People got really excited saying, oh, this guy, Bobby, it's not meant to be a fun quiz show, but he's really animated, excited, really passionate about education, using that platform to convince people that maths is quite cool. Because we all know, when you mention the word maths to most people, they're like, oh God, maths. So I'm trying to be that positive ambassador for the subject.
And I mean, you've got so much energy and positivity, which I love, but you must have had some dark moments this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think it's as a human being, I'm very sociable. If we go to parties or events, I'm always the first person there and last person out. It's always with me, my time at PwC and socializing events. And this year, being at home for the vast majority is more challenging, because obviously we can chat on Zoom and social media, FaceTime, etc. But I miss that face-to-face interaction, and that's been difficult. But strange enough, one flip side, this can be good or bad, is because I've not been traveling as much for different events, I've actually done more work in the last 6, 7 months, 8 months than I've ever done before. Because again, just before this conversation, I was doing something for the Premier League. Before that, I was doing something with West Ham. I've got something else with libraries this afternoon. So there's 3-4 events in the space of a few hours. Whereas normally it might be just, I'd come to PwC, have a nice sandwich there with you, and then do this. And that's like the half a day. So I think the year has been much more packed, like a Dundee cake with lots of different fillings.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I find that myself, that working from home, working virtually like that, in the way we're talking now, you end up just back to back all the way through the day, and then there's not even time for lunch or anything else.
That's so true.
I mean, I try to take the dog for a walk when I get a meeting cancelled, which works for me. Here, so tell me a bit about where PwC is in your life today, if there's something that stays with you from your time at PwC.
Yeah, so I absolutely love my time at PwC. So before I was a auditor, chartered accountant, I actually spent time, I was a trader at Lehman Brothers, which is not a good choice of bank. Seemed exotic and glamorous at the time. They collapsed. Then I went to Nomura as a trader for a short while. But one of my colleagues at Lehman Brothers, he worked in the banking side. And he said, oh, Bobby, if you want to secure your financial career, have a really solid base, go to PwC, get a qualification there. And I know in my gap year before university, I actually worked at KPMG. So I always knew that I was drawn towards it. My dad's a chartered accountant. So joined PwC, got a qualification, made some great friends. And every other year, I'm going to weddings of PwC friends. But I think the thing that it's taught me most is the importance of having a attention to detail. Because again, in my media world where I'm sort of, whether I'm on BBC Newscast talking to Laura Koonsberg about the massive job support scheme, or on Inside Culture with Mary Beard talking about the role of museums, or I'm on Strictly Come Dancing, It Takes Two, talking about stats, which are all the things I've done the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's partly about bringing a bit of pizzazz and personality, but the thing that I can bring, which most people in the media don't necessarily bring, is the attention to detail. Because you might have a top line story, but do you have the numbers? Do you have the figures? Do you have the facts to back it up? And it's my time at PwC where obviously you're presenting a report, you might talk to the partner and you need to present the top line picture, but you need the underlying figures and facts to stack up. And that's the thing that PwC has taught me. And it's a unique blend because in the media, there are some people who are experts. We've seen in COVID, they talk about the numbers and the exponential rate of growth and decline, etc. And there'll be others who are doing the top line, like, oh, the news story coming in from here, bringing a glamour. But I think I'm trying to bridge that gap between the sort of headline top figure, but also the underlying facts. And that's a really potent combination.
So that kind of bringing that rigor to your message, if you like. So you've got so much stuff going on. What does the future hold for you? What have you got? What initiatives have you got going for yourself going forward?
Again, it's about using my platform to make a real change in education. Again, outside of my professional work, I am the National Numeracy Ambassador, doing work improving numeracy across the country, and I work alongside Countdown's Rachel Riley and Martin Lewis, a money saving expert. But my story about how I became smart wasn't because I was born smart, but because every Saturday afternoon, my dad used to take myself and my brothers to East Ham Library. We read books on all sorts of things: Aztec civilization, Victorian engineering, fiction of Roald Dahl. And it was those afternoons there that made me knowledgeable and ultimately doing well in University Challenge, winning Celebrity Mastermind, all that knowledge there. So the UK Libraries Organization, they previously had Mary Beard, the classicist, and Stephen Fry, like the polymath, as their ambassadors. And they've asked me to become, the last 18 months, I've been their libraries champion, because they said, oh, Bobby can be the new face of promoting and supporting the importance of libraries and reading. So it's about trying to balance my professional work with also doing work and sort of advocating literacy and numeracy across the country.
I mean, it sounds amazing. Here, I've got to ask you about reading. One of the things I always find really difficult is finding time to read. How, you've got so many things going on and you're passionate about everything. How on earth do you find time to read?
So great question. So reading physically, time is limited, but we all in our lives, most of us will be doing chores like doing the dishes, cooking the dinner, ironing our shirts from Monday to Friday, etc., laundry. In those moments, I've got an earpod or a set of headphones and I'm listening to things. So it could either be my books. Again, I've got about 11 books on my shelf that I'm reading currently. Shouldn't do that. I should read one at a time. But when I'm not reading the books physically, maybe before bed, during the day, I will put on the podcast or the audio version of the book. It's a great tip. It means that when you're pottering around, you're continuing with the book. And it means that then you're like, oh, I'm going to pick up the book again. So it's using audio as a way of reading, and it's not cheating.
I love that. I love the idea that you get the podcast or the audio book and the physical book. Because I love having physical books around, but I just find it very difficult to find the time to read them. So that's a really cool tip. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you and to find out a bit more about what your life has been like after PwC. I know you are inspiring so many people with your story and your passion for numbers, for reading. As you totally inspired me already. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.